gasoline-powered cars and trucks. We're waiting on that to take place. Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle will be at Stroger Hospital celebration for their trauma team. They are receiving a level 1 trauma center verification from the American College of Surgeons. And also a House committee says that they are working to provide standards for facilities like the ICE Processing Center in Broadview, where there have been so many lawsuits, and places throughout the country where the Department of Homeland Security has immigrants for various amounts of time. And the Illinois Secretary of State, Alexi Giannoulias, is announcing his plan to help make sure that you don't get hit with that $45 fee for not having a real ID at the airport. That announcement was made just in the last few days here. So we are awaiting that press conference, and just as soon as it begins, we will take you there live. But I mentioned that we were monitoring some breaking news. So while we are waiting for that to start up here at home, let's go to the East Coast here. There have been 2 people that have been shot. One is dead after gunfire at the MGM National Harbor Hotel and Casino. We're getting information that Prince George's County Police have confirmed, again, the death of at least 1 man on social media. You can see on the right hand of your screen one of the reporters for our sister station in Washington, D.C., Fox 5. Officers say that a bullet grazed the second victim, who was also a man. So investigators say that the shooter took off from the scene, but this is a developing situation. Some breaking news that we're watching there on the East Coast, where police have not said what led up to the shooting, only that they believe that this was not a random attack at this point in time. So again, we know at this point in time that 2 people have been shot. 1 is dead after gunfire there at the MGM National Harbor Hotel and Casino. It's always so full of people on a regular basis, and usually very peaceful as people are there. It's a big tourist attraction on a regular basis. So they have a developing situation that they are monitoring there. Talking a little bit more, though, about what's happening here at home, I mentioned that we're waiting this press conference with our Illinois State Secretary of State, Alexi Giannoulias. So a couple of things that he's going to be talking about that we anticipate here. He says that he's going to be extending the lease on the Real ID Walk-In Super Center in Chicago's Loop through the end of 2026. So you have a few more weeks, of course. For the last several years now, they have been trying to get everyone on board to get your real IDs, but also saying it wasn't mandatory, especially if you had a passport or something of that sort. But then just in the last couple of weeks here, we learned that now there's this $45 penalty if you don't have a real ID that you would be forced to pay going through TSA for any upcoming flights. Well, again, he should be extending the lease on the Real ID Walk-In Super Center. That was to get more people through, and that's going to be in Chicago's Loop. He's also about to launch a new partnership. This is going to be with Cook County Clerk Monica Gordon. This is also aimed at cutting down time for people. We've seen lines, of course, at the super centers, especially as like the deadline was coming up for people to have their real IDs. Really haven't seen those lines as much lately, but now that everyone's hearing about this $45 penalty, just kind of anticipating that more people obviously will want to go ahead and take care of this. They're merging their resources here to try to cut down on some time. They also say cut down on hassle and ensure that Illinoisans can secure their real IDs before the TSA penalty takes effect. So just going over what this initiative that they're talking about will include, they say that it will help residents to obtain key identity documents. You can see there as we zoom in, there is our Illinois Secretary of State, Alexi Giannoulias, getting ready to take the podium now. Let's listen into what he has to say.
Your crew right here? Yes. Well, is everyone ready? Media? Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. A special thank you to my friend Monica Gordon and the Cook County Clerk's Office for their leadership and for partnering with us. This is what happens when 2 government agencies work together, work hard, are accessible and responsive. And I could not possibly have a better relationship with Monica Gordon and her entire team. So welcome to our office. Thank you for all the work that you do on behalf of the people of Cook County and the people of Illinois. We're here today because TSA and the federal government are adding burdensome travel costs for families that can least afford it. Starting February 1st, as you may have heard, TSA has announced that they will begin charging travelers a new $45 penalty if they don't have a real ID or passport. $45 per person per flight. It's not just a one-time cost, it's a recurring penalty that places an unfair burden on Illinoisans who travel infrequently and who can least afford it. Put this in perspective, a one-way flight from Midway to Boston on Southwest alone can cost less than this new penalty. For a family of 4, that fee could total $180, and if their trip lasts more than 10 days, it could jump to $360 just to get through airport security. That's why we're continuing to take action. We're making it easier than ever for Illinois residents to make a plan to avoid the fee and get their real ID before February 1st. First off, we've extended the lease on our first in the nation Real ID Supercenter through the end of 2026 to provide faster, more convenient service for the sole purpose of helping folks get their real IDs. And of course, we're continuing to offer real ID services at DMVs throughout the entire state. We've also streamlined our online Real ID portal, realid.ilsos.gov, allowing residents to quickly identify which documents they need, schedule an appointment, and come prepared. And we've established a dedicated call center helpline, 1-800-252-8980, to assist customers in confirming they have the necessary paperwork before they arrive. Most importantly, today we're launching a partnership with the Cook County Clerk's Office to help residents get the documents they need, like birth certificates and marriage licenses, more easily. This partnership means a designated cashier for Real ID related requests, updating the appointment system to designate Real ID specific appointments, and adding phone and email support to help customers directly. You'll hear more from Monica in a few minutes on that. This is what we call reducing the time tax. We're cutting red tape, saving people time, and helping them avoid surprise fees. This is government working better for you. So please, don't wait. Get your Real ID today and avoid the expensive and unnecessary federal upcharge. Thank you very much. And with that, I'd like to introduce someone who's been a great friend to me personally, someone who we've worked with very closely, Cook County Clerk Monica Gordon, to say a few words. Monica?
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. I am proud to stand with Secretary of State Janulius today as we announce a partnership for fast-track vital records, documents that are required for residents to obtain a Real ID. As the Secretary explained, the recent announcement of a significant TSA penalty has created an urgent need for residents to update their identification requirements. Our shared goal is to provide Cook County residents with an expedited, hassle-free process to obtain vital records in a timely fashion before the TSA penalty takes effect February 1st. Beginning today, the Clerk's Office is implementing several operational modifications that will help residents seeking birth certificates, marriage certificates, and other documents required for Real ID application. To begin, every Clerk's Office location downtown and in the suburbs will now have designated cashiers dedicated to serving individuals with Real ID related requests. This will create a clear, streamlined path for urgent needs and help to reduce overall wait times for customers. We are also in the process of updating our queuing and appointment systems so residents can schedule appointments specifically for Real ID purposes. We expect these updates to go live in the next day or so, and we encourage residents to make an appointment in advance by visiting our website at cookcountyclerk.com/vitals. In addition, we have created a dedicated phone line to connect residents directly with staff who can answer questions related to Real ID documentation and help them secure an appointment. We're also launching a new email address exclusively for Real ID assistance, ensuring these requests are tracked and responded to with the urgency they deserve. Please note, the clerk's dedicated Real ID telephone number for the public is 312-603-6278. Residents can also reach us via email at clerk.realid@cookcountyclerkil.gov. Again, we do encourage that appointments be made in advance, but for those arriving without an appointment, no one will be turned away. And for anyone who may not have access to a smartphone or the internet, trained staff will be on site at every location to help schedule appointments using a laptop right at the service counter. Whether you walk in, plan ahead, or need extra support, we will make sure you get the assistance you need. The clerk's office remains committed to making it as convenient as possible for residents to access the vital records they need. By teaming up with the Secretary of State's office, we're expanding options and streamlining the process so Cook County residents can get their Real ID required documents quickly, conveniently, and without added stress. I want to thank our dedicated staff, Secretary Janulius and his team, as well as the residents who count on us each and every day. We will continue working together to make sure our systems remain accessible, modern, and centered on the needs of the people we serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you very much. Any questions for me or for us? Correct. Lines at the airport?
Right, and at other locations trying to get their Real IDs.
We have not had lines. We have not had lines for Real IDs.
No, but for the TSA lines.
Oh, TSA lines.
Like the process being cumbersome.
Yeah.
That
Well, I can't speak to the headaches at the airport, but I will tell you, one of the reasons that we've been encouraging folks to get their Real IDs for 3 years now since we took office has been to avoid any kind of delays. In addition to encouraging folks to get their Real ID, in addition to making it easier for folks to get their Real ID, one of the major reasons we wanted to get mobile IDs complete, which we did a few weeks ago, is that folks don't have to fumble when they are in line looking for their ID or driver's license. They can now do it with their mobile device. It works very well. It works at over 250 airports, including O'Hare and Midway. So we encourage folks to get their Real ID. We encourage folks to get their mobile a driver's license. All they have to do is tap, go through security, and have a safe flight. Any other questions or? No? Good. Well, we appreciate you being here, and please, please, please get your Real ID. Avoid this preposterous fee. Thank you so much. Good job.
Thank you.
Say hi to your team real quick.
We were listening in there to Illinois Secretary of State Alexi Janulius and Cook County Clerk Monica Gordon as they announced this partnership now to just make sure more people get their Real IDs in a timely manner before the $45 fees start to hit people in TSA lines if you do not have a Real ID. I believe that starts in February 1st. So they're designating cashiers at each clerk's office location to expedite Real ID related document requests. They are dedicating a telephone helpline, also an email address exclusively for people who are needing Real IDs. They're streamlining the office's Real ID portal, and they have a dedicated call center helpline. That's 800-252-8980. Again, 800-252-8980 to make sure that people have the documents that you need to get your Real ID. You don't want to get to the facility and you don't have what you need in order to get everything done while you're there. That has been a frequent complaint from a lot of people, that they go and they don't have everything that they need, and so they have to leave and come back. So again, that $45 penalty will start hitting you February 1st. Switching over now to that House committee that says they're trying to provide some standards for facilities like the ICE Processing Center in Broadview, where Department of Homeland Security has immigrants. Let's listen in.
For Detained Immigrants Act. You see, for the last several months, as Chicagoans and our neighbors across the country have been disappeared off the streets and placed in processing centers and detention facilities, more and more Americans have come out to understand just how little dignity our neighbors, our loved ones, are afforded by DHS and their force of terror. Since DHS's inception, immigration detention has been dehumanizing. Detention facilities have been unsafe, inappropriate, inadequate. Too few people receive the necessary medical care that they need. Too many people die in ICE detention, and too much happens in the shadows of very little oversight. As a member of the Committee on Homeland Security, I am clear that the Department of Homeland Security must be held accountable for these gross, unconscionable failures. They have never demonstrated a commitment to our rights, to due process, to the rule of law, or to human dignity. But I'm also very clear that Trump, that Noam, that Bovino, that Homan, and all of the authoritarians and criminals in this administration, they want our lives. They want our labor. They want our freedoms. Why? So that they can extract every bit of profit they can make from us for themselves and their billionaire bosses. That's why. You see, more than 62% of immigrant detention centers are managed by private prison companies. Private prison companies like CoreCivic and GEO Group, who donated millions and millions of dollars to Donald Trump's campaign for president. They knew that mandatory detention paired with Trump's mass deportation campaign would be very good for their business, and it has been. They're richer than ever. And here's the thing. You and I know what is clear. They don't care about our dignity. They care about profit. That's it. They extract profit from our community's pain. Their willingness to inflict pain, to extract profit, is the same impulse that leads us to the illegal wars in Venezuela and to the many things we're seeing, including the threat to health care in this nation right now. Because as long as they profit, they don't care if we're sick. They don't care if we're starving. They don't care if we're detained. They don't care if we're deported or dead. And that goes for American citizens, my friends. That goes for American citizens too. And that is why this bill is so important. We have to draw a line in the sand. We must meet the moment and reject detention in all its forms. We don't need more mandatory detention, private detention facilities. The family detention that you are seeing deny members of Congress from doing oversight work that we are authorized to do by this very same body. Basta. Enough. We have to reclaim our dignity. We have to restore due process. And we have to end this detention that you and I know is killing our Constitution. It's ending due process. It is putting people at risk every day. It is why I'm standing here today, so proud to co-sponsor, along with, did you say 123 members of Congress, the Dignity for Detained Immigrants Act. The moment to act is now. Our constituents keep asking, how is this possible? Well, we have a solution to it, and we're going to get to 218 members of Congress with your help. With that said, I'd like to now introduce to you a leader in, am I wrong? Oh, okay, sorry. Sorry, I got all passionate, and here we are. Got it. Are we set? Let me now introduce to you a leader for freedom of speech, for student rights, for humanity, for peace, Mahmoud Khalil.
Well, we listened in for a bit of this press conference as we could hear Illinois 3rd District Representative Delia Ramirez, who was speaking there on behalf of, again, constituents of her ward and also so many others who are questioning what's taking place at the ICE processing facility in Broadview and so many other processing or detention centers. And one of the legal fights was over whether the processing center was being used as a detention center during Operation Midway Blitz. That is now kind of tamped down, not over. There are still federal agents in our area, but from the large high point that we saw of immigrants being brought in and taken to other places as well, things have changed quite drastically now as we're seeing more raids that are starting to take up in Minnesota and also even in New Orleans. We saw them in North Carolina as well. So she was questioning private prison companies that are managing facilities for profit and the kind of fine line and that begins to create. Also, she says that she is co-sponsoring this Dignity for the Detained Immigrants Act that tries to put together some standards for facilities where people are being held. So they were continuing on with that press conference, but we wanted to listen in as Illinois' 3rd District Representative Delia Ramirez was speaking there. When we come back, we are going to speak a little bit more about some things that have been happening at the airports. Yes, we started off listening in, talking about that $45 fee that you'll get hit with starting February 1st. But so many people have already been hit with delays and cancellations just over the last few days. We're going to talk about getting you some help when we come back. 1:23 right now, everyone. Travel plans over the last week have been filled with delays and cancellations. I'm looking outside of the window right next to me. There's more snow coming down, and we know that folks on the East Coast especially are getting even more today, and there's always a ripple effect. So the folks at the Points Guy are always looking to help you with some resources to use if your plans do get disrupted. Clint Henderson is joining me now to talk a little bit more about it. Thank you so much for your time.
Got it. You got it.
All right. So what are some of maybe the worst issues that you've even heard about over the last week?
Well, you know, Chicago's really been the center of the storm, no pun intended, for weather delays, cancellations. You know, just a couple of weeks ago, I was stuck in Chicago myself with thunderstorms and severe weather. So, but once the weather really locks in Chicago, it's such a big hub for so many airlines. There's ripple effects across the country. They have recovered a bit today. It's not quite as bad as it had been over the weekend, but you know, we're still seeing some delays and cancellations, so you got to watch that weather really carefully.
Yeah, you do, because something in Boston or, you know, Atlanta could then have an effect here, and vice versa. We tell people to know your rights for just about everything else. What do we need to know here?
Yeah, unfortunately, you don't have that many rights when it comes to weather. It's considered an act of God, and so the airlines are not required to do much for you. There is a Department of Transportation dashboard where the airlines will have voluntarily said that they would give you hotel rooms and even pay for meals in some cases for severe disruptions. And remember, one of the things passed by the Biden administration was the right to a refund if the airline cancels your flight, or if you decide not to take the flight because it's delayed more than 3 hours. So in those cases, if you decide not to travel, you do have the right to a speedy refund within 3 weeks, depending on your form of payment. So keep that in mind. But if things really go sideways, what I tell people these days is have a backup plan. And then if you're seeing an airport, say ORD, is completely locked in with weather, it might be best to just call the airline and say, hey, can I go out tomorrow instead? The airlines are being very flexible with weather situations, especially these days. So keep that in mind as well. It never hurts to ask. And then have that airline app installed on your phone. You can potentially rebook yourself that way for another day, even in severe situations, meltdowns, etc. So keep those things in mind. I use an app called Flighty that I love. It tells me where my plane is coming from, so I can track it 24 hours before the flight. So I like to do that, so I know if the flight's going to make it on time. But the airline apps themselves are getting really good. So the United app in particular is great at showing you weather and things like that that might be impacting your flight.
Yeah, I use the American app, and over the weekend, you get up early for your flight, like yeah, hey, take the 5 a.m. flight because it's the one that's going to get out for the day, and woke up at like 2 a.m. and it's like, your flight's been delayed 5 hours.
Oh, no.
So Flighty, is that, spell that out for us?
It's Flighty. And it's on the App Store. It's very popular right now. And then Flight Radar 24 is another one that I use. It's pretty good. But honestly, if you don't feel like having another app on your phone, if you just Google the airline and your flight number, it will tell you a pretty good idea of if your flight's on time or not. So Google is a sort of all-around tool that I like to use for tracking that. And then know what's going on at your departure airport and your arrival airport. You really want to make sure that you know what conditions are like, because last month we saw during the government shutdown huge security lines in Houston, like 5 to 7 hours long. And if I had seen that on social media ahead of time, I would have said, you know what, I'm just not going to go to Houston today. I'm not going to try to fly. I'm going to rebook myself.
So funny you mentioned that, because they were going to reroute me through Houston, and I was like, no, I might get stuck. Let's talk about this. You mentioned some of the accommodations that the airlines have, mentioned that they will allow. Do you think that they're getting better with accommodations, or are they getting a little tighter as maybe their margins are tighter?
They've always been pretty tight on providing compensation, but the most persistent customers win. So you have to be your own best advocate these days, because they will take care of you if you ask long enough and hard enough. But you and I have seen the huge lines in the airport when things go wrong. Don't wait in those lines. There's almost no point. You might get a hotel voucher, might get 2 hours of sleep eventually, but at that point, I just rebook myself and then ask the airline for compensation later. Now, sometimes they will, sometimes they won't, but I will try to call them multiple times if I don't get the answer I want the first time. And the other thing I would tell people is make sure you're booking travel with a credit card that offers trip delay and cancellation protections, because oftentimes they will pay for that hotel room or your Uber or your meal during a long delay and cancellation, provided that you have insurance on that credit card. And you don't have to buy additional insurance. It just comes with booking the trip through that credit card.
Okay, what are some of the cards that do that?
Yeah, I won't go into too many specifics, but Chase and American Express, they all have more premium cards. Bank of America, Citi, all the big banks have travel cards that will offer some kind of minimum protections.
Oh, okay, all right, for delays and cancellations. Did not know that. And I traveled
they come with trip delay and cancellation protection. Now, interestingly, during the government shutdown, we realized that they weren't reimbursing for some of those flights that got messed up. So, your mileage may vary, but with weather, they usually are pretty good at covering. Okay,
all right. So looking forward to the new year. Are there some changes that are on tap for the airlines? And are there some things, we were talking about that $45 fee for travelers if you don't have your real ID off the top of the show, but are there some other changes that we as travelers should be getting ready for?
Yeah, the first thing I would say is Europe is going to impose something that the UK and the United States already have, which is you need a travel authorization. So there's going to be a whole process, and that's going to roll out at some point in the new year for Europe. It's already in place now for the UK, so you have to pay a small fee and register with the government ahead of the trip. So you can't travel if you haven't done that. So make sure you're aware of that for continental Europe. And then airlines are really changing. So we've seen the slow decline of low-cost carriers and the increasing premiumization of airlines. So, everyone's adding extra legroom seating and, selling more first class seats. But now the low-cost carriers are getting into it too. So we're going to see any day now, we're going to see Frontier start to sell first class on some of its planes. And then already flying on some Southwest planes are some seats with extra legroom. Now, eventually in January, they're going to be selling extra legroom seats, and obviously a lot of changes to their boarding policies and their seat assignment policies. So, yeah, make sure if you're a Southwest flyer, you're aware of that happening now. Right now, though, if you are among the first to board, you can just select those extra legroom seats, which is kind of a nice perk.
Except everyone can't run up to board at the same time anymore.
Exactly, and you're paying usually now to board early.
Yeah.
So they're going to get us one way or another, I'm telling you.
That's kind of how it goes for just about everything. But what are maybe some of your other best tips or strategies for like holiday and winter traveling?
Yeah, so I would say Google Flights can be your best friend. If you don't have a winter trip book or maybe even spring break, it's time to start looking. Set a Google flight alert. So Google has this amazing tool called Google Flights. You can put in your home airport and you can use a map that lets you explore the whole world, and it shows you the cheapest places you can go. So if you're open to anywhere, that's a great tool to use. And then if you have a very specific destination in mind, say you're going to go to Cancun for spring break this year, you're doing that trip, you can actually put in the dates and your home airport with the Cancun, and you can set a price alert. So Google will email you if the price drops or if it spikes. And it's a great feature because it'll tell you the price history for that flight to tell you if you're getting a good deal or not. So I'm a big fan of Google Flights. I wrote a whole guide to it at The Points Guy. Big fan of that system. And then subscribe to the Points Guy newsletter. We do all the tips you need for all your travel needs. And we have a daily newsletter that's really good at keeping you up to date with all these policy changes, new airline routes, all kinds of fun stuff.
Do you all also do like a tracker for hotel costs?
So we do not track that at the Points Guy, but Google actually has Google Hotels. They'll do a similar feature to what I was talking about with flights with Google Hotels. So that's something to keep in mind. Increasingly sophisticated data behind these tools where you can know if you're getting a good deal or not. And of course, my top recommendation is always, use points and miles. Don't be afraid to open a credit card. You get a big sign-up bonus. That's how I'm able to travel the world and do it in style because I use points and miles, and I'm a smart credit card user. And so if you're not gonna pay off your balances in full, don't get into the game at all. But for those who are very good with their credit, don't be afraid of opening a new credit card.
Yeah. All good information here. And my producer wanted to also know, like, what if you were going to miss your flight because of the snow?
So if you're going to miss your flight, usually the airline will book you on a new trip. But if your flight is canceled, they owe you a refund if you don't take another booking. So say it's snowing in Chicago really bad, you're going to miss a weekend away. At that point you just say, it's probably not worth me trying to go a day later and staying one day in my destination. So I'm just going to cancel the trip and get a refund. So you are entitled to a refund in those situations. But if they call it a flat tire rule, so if you just miss your flight because of traffic or snow or whatever the case may be, they will rebook you on the next available flight. They call it the broken tire rule in most cases.
Without a cost?
Without a cost, exactly.
Very interesting. Always love talking to you all. You have wonderful information. Thank you for doing your research and imparting your information with us.
Anytime.
All right. You take care.
Stay warm.
We will try. It's snowing yet again. All right. 1:35, everyone. And, one of the things that we don't really think about, while it's snowing outside is, well, maybe you do. Maybe you do. When it's snowing outside, maybe you have to really think hard about warm thoughts, like sitting out in the pavilion at Ravinia for a great concert, a little wine, maybe some, things that are set up on a table, the picnic area. It's always so much fun for so many people. Think warm thoughts, yeah. Even though it's snowing and so cold outside. Ravinia President and CEO Jeff Hayden is on the line with us right now. He is standing by as they get ready for a big sale, but not of tickets. This is of something very different and pretty unique. Thanks so much for your time. Always love chatting with you.
Oh, thanks so much for having me here. It is unusual for me to be on in the wintertime.
Right.
I'm looking out at Ravinia, and it's all full of snow.
Exactly. We're just going to continue to think those warm thoughts. We love Ravinia. But you all are in the midst of once in a generation, really, renovation that's taking place right now. And now we have the opportunity to kind of all be a part of it.
It's exciting. Yeah, the iconic pavilion that we know and love is going through a major update. All the seats were ripped out. The stage was ripped out. The backstage was all ripped out. And we realized that there's a lot of history there that people might really appreciate owning. And so we've actually saved some seats back. We've saved some of the stage wood back. We've saved the mailboxes for the musicians back there and a lot of different fun memorabilia. And we now actually have it on our website for people to be able to buy for holiday gifts. A great thing for people that have loved Ravinia for many years.
And this is going on not for too much longer. So give us the timeline and what we need to do if we want to grab those.
So go to Ravinia's website, ravinia.org, and look for the Reclaimed Ravinia tab. And this goes through December 7th. So we've just got a couple of days here through the end of the week to be able to buy things. And already the stools are sold out already. People love that. So price points for everybody on here as well. It's all going to help raise money for the new pavilion, which will open up in July.
Okay, what was the lowest priced item, and what is the item where you're like, this is the crown jewel, this is really going to go up there?
Well, we've got items starting at 110, but you could even buy a pair of seats from the pavilion and put them in your backyard or put them in your living room if you want. We've also got a one-of-a-kind conductor's table made from the stage.
Wow.
So you could actually have the stage in your kitchen as well. So there are a lot of fun things. There's even some wood from the stage that are made into special rings that you could wear as well.
Yeah, and of course, you all have had... you name the person, I mean, they've probably performed there, over the course of time. Tell us about maybe the ties that some of these items have.
Well, so if you buy a piece of Ravinia stage, you are buying a piece where Aretha Franklin stood, where Pitbull stood, Kygo, the Chicago Symphony, Yo-Yo Ma, Chicago, all the greats. James Taylor was just here this last year, who's graced the stage is pretty remarkable. And to own just a little piece of history and put it on your bookshelf or have that as a conversation piece, I think is priceless.
Yeah, I can say this is the wood that Lenny Kravitz stood on.
Exactly. This is the wood that Sting sweated on.
I think there's just a little piece of sweat left.
And with Kygo, you can even see the laser marks on the stage from all of his lasers that hit and burned parts of the stage.
Let's talk a little bit more about the renovations. How far along are you all? Are you on schedule? Where are we with things?
Summer is going to happen at Ravinia. That's always the big question everybody has. I do have to note that the pavilion will not open up until the middle of July. July 11th will be the big opening date. I won't say what it is yet. We'll have to wait till March when we announce the season in mid-March. But
here on Fox 32.
We will have one weekend in the beginning of June where we'll have concerts. But As soon as we finished at the end of August this year, we started moving chairs out and we started demolishing the stage and all the walls behind there. It's been quite an operation, and so now we're actually pouring new concrete in front of the stage because we're expanding the stage to make it bigger to be able to hold all the rock shows that are coming through, and even the orchestra with the chorus has been a little tight. Putting catwalks up above so that all of our crew can do more with lighting and sound, and then fixing up all of the backstage dressing rooms as well.
I cannot wait to see it when it's done. You know, I feel like with any renovation project, there are always like surprises, good and bad. What were have been some of the surprises along the way thus far?
So I would say, you get the usual, oh, there's asbestos here, oh, there's lead paint here. I would say the one that has been kind of fun to watch is that the big columns that you see sort of behind me, the ones that are closest to the stage, didn't go down as far as we thought into the ground. And so as we started excavating around there, fortunately we figured out before anything happened, but we had to what they call underpin it and drive these huge stakes that are 40 feet long into the ground and cement them all together. So that's quite an engineering feat to watch.
Ooh, oh my goodness, yeah. What's the budget?
We are in the campaign to raise $75 million, and that will go to the new Hunter Pavilion, and it will also help with a couple of the other stages as well to update the stages. I think a lot of people are also really excited about just putting their name on the back of a seat, and putting mom and dad's name or their name on the back of a seat. So if you're not interested in actually purchasing something from Ravinia, you can put your name at Ravinia for posterity.
I think that would be awesome. I did that at my college, and it's such a point of pride to like go back, or when someone else goes there and they take a picture and they're like, "Oh my gosh, your name is here." That will go. I think a lot of people will want that for sure. I want that. Let's talk about, obviously we look forward to the concerts every summer, but the programming that goes on year round. Talk a little bit more about the things that are happening, or we can look forward to happening in the spring.
Sure. What a lot of people don't know is Ravinia does take place year-round. Actually, this week we have a lot of concerts that are taking place in our Martin Theater and Sandra K. Crown Theater. We have Take Six performing tonight. We have Canadian Brass. We have Klezmatics, and a lot of other shows. So don't miss coming to Ravinia right now. But and you can see that at ravinia.org. But the other part that people don't know is that we have a massive music education program that takes place. It's called Reach, Teach, Play. And we are in Waukegan, we're in Austin, we're in Lawndale, and we're in about 120 schools throughout Chicagoland. And we are literally putting instruments in kids' hands to play. We're putting artists in the classrooms. We're bringing them to Ravinia to perform. It's really inspiring to see communities change through music.
What you all do is just awesome, and again, year round. And I know you're getting ready for a big year to come. That hopefully all things are new and well oiled and ready for the big celebration. How many years off are we now?
So we are now 121 years at Ravinia, and we're looking at 125 coming up soon.
For 2029.
Yeah, 2029, you got it. I did good math.
Well, look, I am so looking forward to all the things that are to come, especially you being here with us to make your big announcement in the spring. But mid-July, it's on our calendars. Everybody get ready. But even before then, make sure you go online and get a piece of this history. Jeff, tell us one more time how we can get some of the items that you all have saved.
Sure. Go to our website, ravinia.org, ravinia.org, and you can either join us this week for some concerts, buy some memorabilia from Ravinia, or put your family's name on the back of a seat. And if you have a little extra money and you want to put your name on a star dressing room, we'd love to talk with you as well. This is going to be, this is everybody's favorite vacation summer home, and so we're looking forward to sprucing it up for you for this next year.
Thank you for your diligent work in doing that. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Look forward to seeing everybody at Ravinia again.
All right, we'll see you soon. Take care.
care.
1:45, everybody. Let's take a quick break. Okay, 1:47 right now, still waiting on an announcement from President Trump. This, we believe, will be about loosening some of the vehicle mileage rules for the auto industry. Should be happening any moment now, and as soon as it does, we will take you there live. But while we have a little bit of time before that begins, we know we have a lot of true crime fans here, and many of you have been watching this trial of a man in Massachusetts. His name is Brian Walsh. And this trial has gotten a lot of attention throughout the country. He is accused of murdering his wife, Anna. She was a mother of three, in 2023, on New Year's Day, in fact. Her body never found. He was charged with murder, though, shortly after her disappearance. And again, in people watching this trial, there's been so much that has really just kind of been a lot for people to wrap their brains around. The Google searches for how to saw a body would be among those. The DNA evidence that's been presented. We're going to watch a bit of this trial before this press conference begins. Okay, so someone just left the stand here, so it's silent until we hear some more activity. I'm just going to kind of talk through the things that we know as of right now. Again, the man that we're looking at right here is Brian Walsh, who is on trial, accused of murdering his wife in January of 2023. His trial started Monday, December 1st. He is 50 years old. He was arrested on January 7th of 2023 on this charge of misleading police in the investigation. And so much has happened since then that we have been watching. He was indicted by a grand jury in March of 2023 on 3 charges. That was murder, misleading a police investigation, and improper transport of a human body. Again, the couple had 3 children. At the time of his wife's disappearance, Brian Walsh was awaiting sentencing on fraud charges in a separate case that he pleaded guilty to. That was a federal fraud charge. We're hearing information about a life insurance policy of over $2 million that his wife had recently taken out before she disappeared. For the fraud case that he was already charged with, he was sentenced to 37 months in prison. That was in 2024. Again, his wife passed in 2023, so there are many different issues that this man is confronted with right now. Last month, he pleaded guilty to 2 lesser charges in this particular case: improperly disposing of a body and misleading a police investigation. At this point in time, Anna Walsh is presumed dead. But we know that she worked for a real estate company, and that he essentially made several searches online having to do with how to dispose of a body. So there's so much to this particular case that people have been watching. The internet searches have really gotten people. Prosecutors have said that starting on the day of Anna Walsh's disappearance and for several days after, Brian Walsh made multiple online searches on iPhones, iPads, and a MacBook at his house, including for dismemberment and best ways to dispose of a body, how long before a body starts to smell, hacksaw best tool to dismember, and more. Again, these are some of the prosecutors now presenting more evidence. Let's see if they begin to speak about what they found.
Sir, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand you an item that's in a bag. I'm going to ask if you recognize the bag and open it up. I'm not going to ask you to produce anything from the bag, okay?
Yep.
All right, thank you, sir. So the first item I'm handing you is a manila envelope. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
What is it, sir?
This is a manila envelope containing the COVID card of Anna Walsh that I recovered from the scene.
Can you open that envelope and determine if that object is inside of it?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. The Commonwealth would seek to have this envelope marked as the next exhibit, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objection.
Is it 129 we're at?
Yes, Your Honor.
The COVID card will be, or the exhibit with pouch that contains the COVID card is now in evidence as 129. Jurors, I do expect that there's going to be a series, and based on what we're consulting with at the side of the bench, there's going to be a series of bags of evidence that the Commonwealth's going to move into evidence. And those bags, to the extent that they are admitted as evidence, will go back with you in the jury room for you to examine as you need during your deliberations. But it's my understanding that they're going to stay in the bags right now. And when they go back with you, you'll have proper gloves, just like the witness now has. All right? Thank you.
Sir, do you recognize this bag?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
This is the bag of keys and headphones that I recovered at the scene.
Could you open it and confirm that those items are inside that bag?
Yes, they are.
The Commonwealth would seek to have the bag with the keys and headphones marked as the next exhibit, Your Honor, which I believe is 130.
Any objection?
No objection.
It's marked and admitted into evidence as Exhibit 130, the Volvo keys and the headphones.
Sir, I'm showing you a bag. I'm producing a bag to you. If you could tell us if you recognize it.
Yes, this is a bag of the black jacket with red-brown stains, a pair of socks and bracelet from bag number 1 at the collection site in Peabody.
Could you open that up and confirm that those items are inside of it?
I can see the black jacket. However, without removing it, there's nothing I can see that might be underneath it.
Okay. So for today's purposes, that bag with the black jacket, I would seek to mark as the next exhibit, Your Honor, without having to move the jacket around and go underneath any objects inside it.
What's the outside labeling say? Black jacket, bracelet, and what else?
Pair of black socks, Your Honor.
Any objection to that?
No objection.
The contents of that packet, which has on the outside of it black jacket, bracelet, and black socks, is now in evidence as 131.
Sir, I'm producing another bag to you. Do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
This is a bag marked as purse and wallet from bag number 1.
Could you open that bag and confirm the purse and wallet?
Yes, they are.
Commonwealth would seek to have this marked as the next exhibit, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objection.
The purse and the black wallet, both black purse and black wallet, are now in evidence as 132. Thank you.
Sir, I'm handing you a bag and asking you to
Yes, I do.
What's inside that bag, sir?
A pair of green boots recovered from bag number 1.
And sir, what is the outside of the bag, sir?
The outside of the bag reads green boots, bag number 1, with my initials, my trainee's initials, and the date.
The Commonwealth would seek to have this marked as the next exhibit.
The bag with the green boots is now in evidence as Exhibit 133.
Sir, you recognize this bag?
Yes, I do.
What is that, sir?
This is a brown paper bag containing a bracelet.
Can you open the bag and confirm the bracelet's inside?
Yes, there's a bracelet inside.
Commonwealth would seek to have this marked as the next exhibit, Your Honor.
Any objection? The bracelet is now in evidence in its bag as 134.
Sir, I'm handing you this first bag. Can I ask if you recognize it?
Yes, I do.
What is that, sir?
This is a bag marked white towel number 1 from bag number 2 at the Peabody Collection Facility.
And that's one of the 2 white towels you bagged up that night and took back to the crime lab?
Yes, that's correct.
Can you open it and make sure the towel's inside?
Yes, it's inside.
I'll welcome seek to have this bag and the white towel marked as the next exhibit, Your Honor. No objection.
White towel number 1 from bag 2 is now in evidence as exhibit 135.
I'm handing you another bag, sir.
This bag is marked white towel number 2.
And does that look like the second bag for a white towel that you bagged that night?
Yes, that's correct.
Could you open it and confirm the towel's inside?
Yes, it's inside.
The Commonwealth will seek to have this marked as the next exhibit, Your Honor.
Any objection? The white towel number 2 from bag number 2 is now in evidence as 136. Can I see counsel at the side of the bench?
Yes, Your Honor.
So we were just listening into a piece of that trial against, again, 50-year-old Bryant Walsh in Massachusetts, accused of murdering his wife back in 2023. It's just gotten national attention. And so while we had this live picture, we wanted to listen into a bit of it as the prosecutors are presenting evidence to the investigators to kind of go over what they believe happened and in terms of the disappearance of Anna Walsh in 2023. It's 2:02 though. We have another conversation on the opposite side of this break, so stand by. It's just about 2:05 right now. Thank you, everyone, for staying with us here on Chicago Live. We're in our second hour now, and we have a lot that's planned for this hour. We're going to talk about a drug bust that took place in the South Loop here in Chicago. Pretty surprising stuff. Surprising if you don't live in that area, because if you live and do business in that area, you may have noticed some activity that was unsavory over the last several months that resulted in this big drug bust. And so we're going to talk with Sheriff Dart about it. We're glad that he has created some time in his schedule to come on the show for that. At 2:30 or right around that time, we anticipate speaking about an issue that's being presented at local hospitals, maybe not just local, national hospitals, as we're seeing more marijuana be legalized throughout the country. There's an issue with the scrommet. If you've never heard of that before, you're not alone. I had not heard of it before today either. But apparently it's showing up in hospitals, and we'll talk more about what that is. But we're also waiting on this press conference with President Trump. He is, we've been anticipating this really for the last 30 minutes or so. He is said to be loosening some of the regulations for the auto industry when it comes to pollution and gasoline. And as soon as that begins, we will try to take you there live. But, you know, one of the things that President Trump has been pushing for the last several months has been that Republican lawmakers find ways to redistrict in their states. And he's really demanded that of many of them as they have a slim majority in the U.S. House. It's one of the reasons why there was so much attention on that Tennessee special election even just last night. And Republicans did hold that seat. But Indiana's still a question mark as to what is going to happen there. On Monday, House Republicans in Indiana created or proposed a redrawing of the state's congressional maps aimed at trying to produce a 9-0 Republican U.S. House delegation for Indiana. You know, we saw things take place in Texas when they were getting ready to redistrict, and those lawmakers came here to Illinois to try to, the Democratic lawmakers came here to Illinois to try to slow down that process. We watched what happened in California that led to a special election there in November. But again, still a question mark on Indiana. Nathan Gosch, of Executive Director of Independent Indiana, is joining me now. Is it Gosch or Ghosh? I'm sorry, I want to pronounce your name correctly.
Yeah, it's Gotch. It rhymes with Scotch. That's an easy way for people to remember.
Gotcha. Okay, Gotch. Thank you so much for your time and your willingness to come on and talk about what Indiana is releasing in a new poll.
Yeah, so we did a poll before really the redistricting kind of heated up. It was earlier this fall, and it was very clear that Hoosiers are not interested in a mid-decade redrawing of our congressional maps. 53% of registered voters said that they were opposed to this. That's compared to only 34% who supported it. And when you tease out those numbers, even among Republicans, it was not popular. Less than 60% of people who said, hey, I'm a Republican in our poll said that they supported redrawing of the districts here in 2025. And so what's happening right now is, you know, to your point earlier, there is an effort coming from Washington, D.C. to try to turn what is a current 7-2 Republican Democrat split in terms of our congressional representation to be maps that are drawn 9-0. Now, there have been a lot of talk about this. There had been the president of the state senate here in Indiana had said publicly, we don't have the votes to pass new maps, but there actually had not been a map for people to talk about. It was all theoretical. That map was unveiled on Monday, and what it did was really carve up the state. The person who filed the bill in the Indiana House of Representatives, his name is Ben Smalls from Northeast Indiana. He admitted in a committee hearing yesterday multiple times, this is a political gerrymander. We are doing this for purely political reasons. And I think most of your viewers may think, well, gosh, I can't believe they would admit to that. The U.S. Supreme Court has said that you can politically gerrymander maps. It is not something that is banned. Where you get into challenges and issues is if there is a racial component to that, because we have the Voting Rights Act. They did not acknowledge at all yesterday in the committee hearings that this would split up. For example, the district that is most of Indianapolis, which is represented by Andre Carson, who is an African American, and a large portion of that district is African American. There are concerns that if this map passes, there will be a challenge. This is among Republicans that I talked to, but also the Supreme Court is considering a case that may strike down that provision of the Voting Rights Act and no longer protect these majority-minority communities when it comes to drawing congressional maps.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up, the fact that that is before the Supreme Court right now. In Texas, the redistricting there pretty much put Al Green, Representative Al Green, out of his district at that point in time. It's creating some areas where people who have kind of been strongholds in those areas are now not even in the district that they are used to being in.
Yeah, and that is true of Representative Carson. He no longer lives in the district that he represents if these maps pass. He's in the I believe it's the 7th congressional district. And if these maps pass, he would no longer reside in that district.
Yeah. And so tell us a little bit, give us a little background on your organization.
So our organization is called Independent Indiana, and it's a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization that was founded to try to return competitive general elections to the state of Indiana. Over a year ago, former Republican Governor Mitch Daniels from Indiana wrote a piece in the Washington Post really bemoaning the fact that the primary election has become essentially the de facto general election in Indiana for nearly all races. Now, a lot of those are Republican races, but in places where the Democrats, for example, Congressman Carson that I was talking about, that is a seat that is not competitive in the general election, but it's a Democrat seat. And what Governor Daniels wrote about was essentially when you crunch the numbers, less than 5% or around 5% of the population of Indiana voted for Mike Braun to become governor when they voted for him in the Indiana primary election last spring. And so Governor Daniels did not think that that was a good way for people to be choosing their representatives, didn't think it was good for the state. And really what he said was competition is good for everyone everywhere. And we don't have that in the state of Indiana. And what's interesting is, here we are over a year later, and Mike Braun, the Republican governor now, is incredibly unpopular. In fact, our polling indicated that his favorable was only down at 24%. And those are anemic numbers. With Republicans, he's only at 53% favorable, and among independents, 13% favorable. So this is what happens when you have one-party rule in a state. People can get elected, but they are incredibly unpopular. People are not happy with what's going on. It's very difficult for the folks who we elect to serve us in executive positions and in legislative positions to actually work together to solve problems. And what we've seen in Indiana is there's sort of become this calcification of our democratic process. Our organization was founded to try to sort of bring some new life into that. And what we found when we started digging through the numbers is there's something really interesting happening all around the state that nobody else had noticed. And that is, in a lot of communities, people are starting to run not as Republicans or Democrats, but they're running as independents. And it is a number that was so big that I called a former Republican state chair to find out, hey, is this as significant as I thought? And what the state chair said was, well, if 50 independents had gotten on the ballot over the last 2 election cycles, that would be a big deal. The actual number was 244. And the more important number than the 244 is how many of them actually won their elections. 52% of these candidates, and these are running in partisan races, they won their elections. So that tells us there's already sort of this groundswell happening all across the state of Indiana where people are looking for an alternative to what they get. And it's not really choosing between Republicans or Democrats. Again, most of these races, there's a dominant Republican, a dominant Democrat, one or the other. And so what we want to do is return real choice to people all across the state of Indiana when they go into the election booth.
Yeah, when you talk about that issue of competition, I mean, we've even seen it here in Illinois just in the last 24 hours, with Congressman Garcia's seat. Of course, he is going to retire. It was a last-minute, very controversial move that he made, and his chief of staff was the only person who could get in as a Democrat, but now there is an independent who has announced that she will be running against her now. Talk about I don't think it's just in Indiana. I don't think it's just in Illinois or in this particular district that I just mentioned type of thing, that we are starting to see where there is more attention to independence right now, and how that could sway elections.
So I think the biggest thing that's changed over the past few cycles is it used to be that an independent candidate was someone who couldn't get nominated as a Republican or Democrat, kind of the gadfly type of candidate. That has changed as both political parties have kind of gotten pulled to the extremes in their primaries. And so what we're seeing is a lot of these independents who are winning in Indiana actually are former elected officials from the two major parties. And so a lot of those sort of folks who just want to solve problems, want to get things done, want to actually work together, there's not a space for them in the party that's dominant in their area, so they're running as independents. And I agree with you, this is becoming more and more of a trend across the country. We actually have been working on putting together a report on how to bring back competitive general elections to the state of Indiana. We're going to be unveiling that at the Indiana State House the morning of December 15th. And there's some really, really interesting data that we uncovered, some really revealing polling data when we ask voters around the state of Indiana how they're feeling about both political parties, about independents, and about them having a real path to being viable, because that is the thing that independents have struggled with. It's one thing to get on the ballot, but we are interested in candidates who actually have a chance to win. That is the hurdle that independent candidates have to meet more in the minds of voters than sort of when it comes to the political race that they're in. It's more of a mental block that they have to clear in people's minds. But I think once we can get viable alternatives, real candidates who have a chance to win, and that the voters believe that they have a chance, I think you could start seeing a real cascading effect all around the country.
And I'd like you to maybe talk about how, I mean, at this point, getting a proposed redrawing, and actually seeing a map there in Indiana, it's come a long way, because initially, when President Trump brought up this idea of redistricting in Republican-led states, it wasn't well received in Indiana. So how we got to an actual map being drawn, I mean, there were leading Republicans in the state of Indiana that were against it initially.
Some of them still are. Some of that is they're privately against it, but publicly they feel like they have to be for it. Part of that is because there has been an intimidation campaign that's being waged against senators, state senators all across the state. We've had multiple swatting incidents. We've had bomb threats called into the senators' places of business. We've had pipe bombs showing up. It is so heated and contentious right now that if I was a state senator, and they're going to be voting on this new map most likely the end of next week, that's kind of where all the focus is going to end up being. If I was a state senator, I would make sure that my family was not at my place of residence on the day of the vote or the day before the vote.
That's horrible.
It is that scary here, and no politician, regardless of how you feel about them or their positions, should have to face that. We fought a war in this country for our independence. And what we really were doing was transitioning from being subjects to becoming citizens, right? It was revolutionary, not just in terms of the name of the war, but what it meant for really the arc of human history. And I think a lot of people are feeling once more that we are subjects. And when you have elections where there's not competition, you start to get people opting out. You start to get people being disillusioned. I want to return to us feeling like citizens of this country once again.
All right. Nathan Gotch, thank you so much for taking out time and chatting with me about this today. We will be watching very closely, especially if they have that vote at the end of next week.
Thank you. And I want to say hello to all my friends up there in the region.
All right. I hope that they're watching. If not, take this clip and send it to them. All right.
Will do.
All right. It's 2:19. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. 2:21 right now. And one of the major stories that we have followed throughout the year, and really going back to the spring of not just this year, but the year before, was this turmoil at Northwestern University regarding protests that took place there and the fallout that has happened since then. November 28th of this year, there was a federal resolution agreement between the United States and Northwestern University. It was following a federal freeze of more than $1 billion in research funding. And so I want to bring in the Coalition Against Anti-Semitism at Northwestern, because they are saying that there's still more work to be done. Thank you so much for your time.
Nita, thank you for having me today.
So when you say there's still more work to be done, Mike, tell me about some of the things that you're looking for from Northwestern.
Sure. So, Anita, first of all, thank you for having me on today. It's an important day for Jewish students at Northwestern, faculty members, employees at the university. Essentially, to catch you and your viewers up, the government at Northwestern, as you mentioned, reached in what's called the resolution agreement that was announced on Friday in the midst of the Thanksgiving holiday. An agreement has it's extensive. It has 56 provisions, 56 paragraphs and over 100 provisions. And a lot of good things are covered in there. It's a result in an extensive investigation. There are certain things that are not fully clarified or not fully articulated that are very important to our group. And that's why we're here today. Mm-hmm. Number one, it's really about the complaints from the Jewish students and the faculty members and what happened to them, those complaints, and what didn't happen to them. So starting October 7th, 2023, and you mentioned this going on for a couple of years, there was an environment of harassment and discrimination for Jewish students at Northwestern. The students would file complaints with what's called Northwestern's Office of Civil Rights, OCR office. And many of those complaints were kind of quote unquote open and shut cases. Nothing really happened. People didn't get disciplined, and hence it continued. And that's how we found ourselves in $1 billion funding freeze and a $75 million fine. What the new agreement in provision paragraph number 19, I believe, entails, essentially it orders Northwestern to share all of the complaints with the government, and there's a back and forth mechanism. Essentially, all of the complaints can effectively be reopened. So number one, we want Northwestern to publicly really commit to really doing that thoroughly. That's number one. Number two, there was a deal between Northwestern and the encampment protesters. And Fox was out there and saw what was happening. There was a big demonstration at Northwestern. It lasted for several days. There was discriminatory activity there. Jewish students were harassed, discriminated against, and all of that, as opposed to leading to arrests and expulsions. Then the then president of Northwestern instead made a deal with the protesters called the Deering Meadow Agreement. And I won't go into all the details about the agreement, but many parts of the agreement were discriminatory. How Northwestern even put the thing in place was illegitimate. It should have gone to the Board of Trustees for approval. They never did that. The people involved in negotiating on behalf of the university violated every conflict of interest rule under the sun. They were negotiating with their own friends. So that agreement needs to be fully nullified, as the federal resolution states. But Northwestern needs to go deeper and publicly commit to getting rid of the discriminatory scholarships, the discriminatory employment decisions that's made tied to that agreement. And then lastly, the Office of Civil Rights that I mentioned earlier has 10 to 12 employees. If you look at the complaints that the students privately filed that we have seen and shared with the federal government, what was happening in that campus was totally inappropriate, not okay, in violation of the civil rights laws. And Northwestern just kind of let it go. All of the people in that office, Northwestern needs to review the decisions they made. This is not just about the Jewish students. Any student at Northwestern or an employee who files a complaint that if they've been discriminated, the people in the Office of Civil Rights need to follow Northwestern's policies, the students, the employees, and also follow the Federal Civil Rights Act of 1964. This is not a new thing. Thank you for letting us voice all that.
Yeah, I mean, there's been so much connected to this from the very beginning here, and I think that one of the aspects has been that, no one really felt like their voices were fully being heard. So I think this is important for everyone, the fact that we have this outlet for everyone to address their concerns here. It was Michael Schill who stepped down, the former president of Northwestern University, about 2 months ago. At that point in time, did you think even that was enough?
Yeah. Anita, unfortunately, and I'm a Northwestern graduate, several degrees from the university. I love the school. No, it was not enough. And since then, the provost, Kathleen Haggerty, which is the highest ranking academic position at Northwestern, has announced her resignation from that post. A lot of changes happening, and it's not just about the president or the provost. It's also about the other institutional parts of the university. The Board of Trustees needs to really do some soul searching. How did we get here? Who made decisions? Were they good ones? Were they bad ones? What processes need to get changed? It's really honestly what it's about. It's about being accountable to the students and employees of the university, and being accountable and having the systems and the processes. Office of Civil Rights, Student Affairs Office. It's up and down. And to answer your question, no, former President Schill resigning, unfortunately, was not just going to answer it.
Mm-hmm. And when he was on Capitol Hill and he was testifying with the other university presidents there, what was going through your mind?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I was actually physically there in Congress. It was in May of 2024, and there were other university presidents there. What was going through my mind is honestly shell-shocked, embarrassed of the university, in the way that the former president was not answering the questions fully. Northwestern is a top-ranked school in the country, one of the best universities in the country and the world. And with that leadership and the high ranking, honestly comes a responsibility, moral responsibility. It may not be written out for you on paper, but you should know what's right or what's wrong. And as a president of the university, especially a place like Northwestern, you have to have, not just in your mind, but also in your heart, the ability to distinguish when your students are being mistreated, and you need to do something about it. And President Schill, and this is not personal, unfortunately failed in that respect, and the systems failed at Northwestern.
It seemed like all of the universities in question really struggled with that aspect of, and I think, universities are places where you want free speech and you want students to feel like they are exercising their rights, but really struggled with where that line is when other people are then being discriminated against in the midst of it.
Look, that's exactly right. And free speech, and you hear the term thrown around, academic freedom. You hear free speech. People talk about public universities versus private universities, and where's that line? And the reality is, universities are a place of learning. There should be a place of scholarship. There should be a place of extensive debate where everything should be debated. But it can only happen in an environment where inquiry is protected. That's academic freedom, but it is against the law to discriminate people, to harass people in the classroom or on social media or in the athletic facilities or in the cafeteria. That's not allowed. It's not allowed in public schools and in private universities that are taking funding from the federal government. It's against the law. It's called Title VI. It's been around since 1964. People way before us figured out that there need to be better rules around this. And ultimately, it's students from America. It's international students. It's a beautiful thing we have here. We should have a lot of international students. But when people come to America or different parts of the country, there needs to be mutual respect about different points of view, different religions, nationalities, ethnicities. All of it should be protected. And these laws are important, and that's why we're here. They need to be. The federal government stepped in for a reason. $1 billion funding freeze, $75 million fine is very serious. One of the biggest fines in the history of this country for a university. I don't know if it's number 2, but it's definitely up there.
Mike Teplitsky, thank you so much for sharing with us today. Mike is with the Coalition Against Anti-Semitism at Northwestern, and just tell us. So you've kind of outlined next steps today. What happens next?
Look, basically, as of last Friday, Northwestern, there's a 30-day period where this resolution has Northwestern slowly coming back into compliance, sharing certain information with the government, making certain changes, and the funding, the federal funding, the over $1 billion that's been frozen, slowly starts to trickle back in. And really, the following month and months are going to be about this Deering Meadow Agreement. You'll hear people talking about that. You'll hear people talking about the investigation into prior complaints. Hopefully, you're going to see more changes. And really importantly, we haven't talked about it. Northwestern is run by President Henry Beanan, who's a wonderful man, who's there when I was an undergrad at Northwestern, 1990s. He's the interim president. He's 86 years old. He's come back to the university to kind of stabilize the ship. Northwestern currently is looking for a new provost. And as I mentioned earlier, that's the highest academic position in the university. That's number 1. That should be an imminent hire, hopefully starts in January, I believe, was the goal. And then the second position is the new president. President Schill has resigned. President Beanan is the interim, and I believe he's agreed to stay till May. And they need a lot of seats to fill to ride this out.
Well, they have a lot of work to do for sure. Thank you again for your time today, and please keep us updated.
Thank you. We will. Thank you for having us.
Okay. 2:33 right now. I did tell you that President Trump was getting ready to make an announcement. He is speaking now. Let's listen in.
And General Motors plans to invest $4 billion as it brings its manufacturing back to the United States from Mexico. After falling by 5% under Biden, U.S. auto production has surged by 10% so far this year. I won the auto workers vote. But now even the head of the auto workers said Trump is the greatest president we've ever seen. And he happens to be right about that. But we're protecting our auto workers, and we're making it easier for every family to afford high-quality cars. In other words, we're bringing automobiles back and the manufacturing of automobiles back into this country. We lost 52% over the years, 52% of our automobile manufacturing. You see it. Closed factories all over the place. Now they're all opening up. They're being, in most cases, they're being knocked down, and new ones are being built in their place. And a big beneficiary is the state of Michigan, but South Carolina, even states that didn't really do too much with the automobiles, they're opening up plants. It's been amazing. So between automobile plants, AI plants, and plants of every other nation, really every other type, including chips, we're going to have a big percentage of the chip market very soon, not because of the CHIPS Act, which was horrible and ridiculous, where we just gave these companies billions and billions of dollars, and they just kept the money, but because of what we did with tariffs. They have to build here, otherwise they're going to have to pay tariffs. They won't be able to do business in the United States. And we're going to have a big percentage of the chip industry. As of about a year ago, 2 years ago, we had none. And now we're going to have a very big percentage when it all finishes out. So I'd like to ask Secretary Duffy to speak, and then Mr. Farley, and then Filosa, and Urbanik, and Castrita. And also we're going to ask some of our political leaders to speak, because let me tell you, they went out of their way. This was not easy. And people were brainwashed. This is a green new scam. And people were paying too much for a car that didn't work as well. And now they're going to have a great car that's going to be environmentally friendly, but it's going to cost you a lot less, and it's going to work great. All of the nonsense is being taken out of the cars. So, Secretary Duffy, could you say a few words?
Thank you, Mr. President. So yesterday at the cabinet meeting, the president was talking about affordability, And the way that Democrats talk about affordability is a lie. Today is a perfect example of that. So these CAFE standards used what was contrary to the law. The Congress set a rule that says you have to look at combustion engines. Biden and Buttigieg actually did an analysis using
Edge, I'm
sorry. Buttigieg used EVs and hybrids to come up with a 62 mile an hour per gallon standard, which I think the car companies will tell you is completely unattainable. So they spent a lot of money on technology trying to meet the unattainable standard, driving up the cost of a car, number one. And then number two, if they couldn't meet the unattainable standard, they had to trade for carbon, costing billions of dollars, and again, driving up the price of the car. So, Mr. President, what Democrats were doing were not making cars more affordable, they're making them less affordable. The consequence of that is going to be that more Americans can afford to buy a new car, which means they're going to be safer on the roads because of all the great new technology we have that save lives. So we'll have less death on American roads. These rules are going to allow the automakers to make vehicles that Americans want to purchase, not vehicles that Joe Biden and Buttigieg wants them to build, which is important. But also, this is important for American jobs. The more cars we sell, the more jobs we have in this country. And so this is jobs, this is freedom, and this is common sense, Mr. President. So thank you for your leadership. And I appreciate what the Senate did with the big, beautiful bill and what we've done here today. So thank you,
Thank you very much. A big, beautiful bill is it's something. It's amazing. Wait till people see the benefits and the lower taxes that they're going to have, lower regulations. So, how about Ford?
Mr. President and Secretary, all the important lawmakers here, competitors, today is a victory of common sense and affordability. We're very proud of Ford to be the #1 auto producer in our country. 80% of the vehicles we sell here we make in our country.
Right.
And we never left, unlike many of our competitors. We're the #1 exporter, and we have the most auto factory workers. And this CAFE standard that is aligned with customer demand is the right move for a lot of reasons. We were #2 last year in EV sales. We were #3 in hybrid, and we're the leading brand for combustion. We believe that people should be able to make a choice, as you said, Mr. President, and we will invest more in affordable vehicles. This allows us to invest in affordable vehicles made in the U.S., which we will take the lead on, and will allow us to make vehicles more affordable. So thank you for making this step for all of you.
Thank you very much. One of the other things we're doing, it's separate from this meeting, but I think everybody here would agree with it. If you go to Japan, where I just left, and if you go to South Korea and Malaysia and other countries, they have a very small car, sort of like the Beetle used to be with the Volkswagen. They're very small, they're really cute, and I said, how would that do in this country? And everyone seems to think good, but you're not allowed to build them. And I've authorized the secretary to immediately approve the production of those cars. So you'll be able to buy, they really are, they're actually, some of them are really beautiful, actually. If you take a look, Honda, some of the Japanese companies do a beautiful job. But we're not allowed to make them in this country. And I think you're going to do very well with those cars. So we're going to approve those cars. Would you like to say something about that?
Well, no, just that he never stops working, so even when he's on Asian time, he's calling me at midnight in the States. But he gave me the directive to clear the regulations on this, which we have. And so if Toyota or any other company wants to make smaller, more affordable cars, fuel efficient, we have cleared the deck so they can make them in America and sell them in America.
They're really nice and less expensive. And it really gives people a chance to have a car, you know, have a brand new car as opposed to a car that maybe isn't so great. And so you car companies start thinking about that. I think it's going to be a tremendous market. Please, would you like to say something?
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a great day for us at Stellantis today, because it's the day where we see CAFE regulation reconciled with real customers' demand. That's why at Stellantis we decided to invest to Jeep, Ram, Dodge, and Chrysler $13 billion in the next 4 years, increasing production by 50%, delivering to the market 5 new vehicles, and creating 5,000 additional jobs. That's because we believe in what you, Secretary Taffy, and all your team is doing in this country. We believe in growth, and we are ready to invest even more. So thank you very much. Thank you very much also for this great news of the K cars, which we are very interested in. And we are very looking forward to work with Secretary Duffy, your team, in the future for the next steps. Thank you very much.
Well, get ready for those cars because we've already cleared the way. You can start right away.
We will. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Please.
Mr. President, thank you so much for having me. We support your leadership for this issue that is so important to the auto industry. I'm here representing the hard-working men and women of Orion Assembly in Michigan.
Right.
The facility, our manufacturing facility there is currently going through a retool so that we can build additional U.S. manufactured pickup trucks and full-size sport utilities for our customers, and we're so excited about that. And thank you for your support. Secretary Duffy, thank you as well.
And this is largely coming in because of the tariff situation. We're taking in trillions of dollars, actually, trillions, and we have so many other advantages, but these great companies are coming back to the United States. They left the United States. If somebody was sitting behind this desk that knew what they were doing, that wouldn't have happened. They would have said, well, you can sell your car here, but we're going to put 100% tariff, and you would have never had the auto industry leave. Again, we lost more than 50% of our auto industry, and now it's all coming back, and I think it's coming back. Ultimately, it's going to be bigger. I believe it's going to be bigger than it was before, actually, but it's an honor to have you here, and please, would you like to say something?
President,
Thank you very much.
Tom Castriota, sir. I'm the chairman of National Automobile Dealers that represent 18,000 dealers in the country, along with 3,000 heavy-duty truck dealers. And what the actions that you've done as the president and your administration is definitely going to save our customers money. And you made your promises that let the consumer buy what they want, sir, and you delivered on that. And the other thing that you delivered was your promise in the big, beautiful bill, the tax deduction on loans that had gone away some years back.
Right.
And now that makes it affordable for our buyers that can save money through that loan of the tax, anywhere from several hundred to several thousand. So again, sir, on behalf of all the dealers and our customers, we appreciate what you and your administration have done, and of course our legislative support as well, Mr. President.
Thank you. That's very nice, and I'm glad you brought that up. We're allowing people to deduct. So if you go out and buy a car, and this is for middle income, but for lower income, no matter what, they never really had deductions. You know, rich people like deductions, but middle income people were never really afforded deductions, which is very unfair. You borrow money to buy a car, you're allowed to deduct the interest from your income tax. And I think that's going to be one of the most, in terms of your industry, I think it's going to be the biggest thing that we're talking about, maybe even bigger than CAFE standards. People are going to be able to borrow money, deduct it, so it's going to cost them essentially half. And
It'll help, yes, sir.
I think it's going to be a tremendous factory. They've never had a chance to do that before. And that's all done. That's all in the great, big, beautiful bill. So it's really terrific. I'd like to ask a couple of our political leaders to say, because you guys have done an amazing job. This was something that was going to be very tough. We had to fight lunatics to get it done, and they had no answers. You know, you just present them with the facts, and they just say, well, we're just not going to vote for it. They couldn't talk about it, but they didn't want to vote. I see Mike Kelly, my friend back there, who's been with me from day one, right?
Yep.
What do you have to say, Mike?
Well, you know what? I think you hit the key. Everybody's talking about the same thing.
In America, look at the way they like each other.
Okay, again, we were listening in there as President Donald Trump made the announcement, standing next to many of the auto industry's leaders and also some other lawmakers there from several states to loosen regulatory pressure on automakers. This was about controlling pollution from gas-powered cars and trucks. That has been something he has talked about since he was on the campaign that he wanted to do. He said that this is largely happening now, though, because of the tariffs and the big, beautiful bill. So that is another big announcement, 2 days, two big announcements that he has made that we've been able to bring you to live here on Chicago Live. It's 2:45, though, and we want to bring things back here home to Chicago. When we come back from the break, there was a big drug bust in the South Loop, and we're just so glad that Sheriff Tom Dart is going to join us to talk a little bit about that and more. 248 right now. If you live in Chicago South Loop, this next conversation might sound familiar to you, but for those who don't, talk about see something, say something. When you know something is happening in your neighborhood and you want to clean it up, the Sheriff's Office received several complaints about drug dealing that was going on near a grocery store in the South Loop. And just yesterday, we got a list of arrests that have now taken place as a result of people speaking up and wanting better for their area. I want to go ahead and bring in Cook County Sheriff Tom Dart to speak about what's taken place. Thank you so much for your time. We're still waiting on him. He is loading up on the line right now. But so this was the Cook County Sheriff's Police organized crime investigation that conducted an investigation there in the South Loop there. 11 felony manufacture or delivery charges against 7 people now at this point in time that have been doled out as a result of this operation. There were several weeks that they were working on this. And so once we saw that all of these arrests had taken place, my producers, were putting in phone calls to see if we could have this conversation, because so often, people feel powerless when you see something in your neighborhood and you're wondering, like, will it really make a difference if I call? Will it really make a difference if I say something? Am I in danger if I say something? But what if you actually speaking up means that your neighborhood becomes a better place to actually live? We want to go ahead and have a bit more of a nuanced conversation about that, because it's something that so many people, experience in a multitude of ways. Maybe it's not a drug operation happening in your area, but it could be something else. And you're wondering, should I say something? How should I reach out? What happens if I reach out? Will there be a resolution to the problem if I speak up? And so we wanted to just talk a little bit more about that. Jim, is he ready now? Okay, all right. So again, there were 11 charges, 7 people. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to bring in Sheriff Dart after this. Okay, welcome back, everyone. 2:53 right now, and I believe Sheriff Tom Dart is on the line, ready to speak. Are you there?
How you doing? Hey, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for making time for us. We know that you're a busy guy. Obviously, this is in response to the arrest of 7 people there for this drug bust in the South Loop. Tell me a little bit more about what was going on.
Well, we opened an office in June over at State and Roosevelt because we had looked at some data showing that there were some crime issues in the area that we could help with by having an office there. Almost immediately, we were hearing from citizens all around the area that there was somewhat of an open air drug market that was going on in the area. And very quickly, we were able to see what they were talking about. So soon thereafter, we just started a couple of different undercover operations, and they resulted in recent arrests of 7 people. We're looking for an 8th person now, but all in regards to drug dealing. We've made a lot of other arrests in the area as well over the course of the last 6 months, but this particular case was, I guess what you would explain is the system somewhat working, that citizens reach out to law enforcement about a concern, and then we go about trying to address it.
Yeah, I think that is such an important aspect to this because throughout the city, there maybe it's, and I was saying this before we went to the break, maybe it's not a drug market in your neighborhood, but a lot of times people wonder, if I speak up, will anything happen?
Yeah. Nina, that's it's sometimes when people are in government, they always dismiss that and say, "Oh no, we're on top of everything." No, it's just not true. We're human. We make mistakes. We sometimes aren't listening as well as we should. And so all I can tell people, yeah, those things do occur, but we absolutely need their involvement, both to get us in the right direction, but then also at times to become witnesses in the whole 9 yards. In this case, we don't need witnesses. We handle that aspect of it, but it's something where none of these problems are going to be addressed if the community isn't involved. And it's so easy for people in government to say that, literally to foist the responsibility back on the citizens. It's like, you need to do all the work. We're not saying that. We just need to have your engagement enough so we know where to go, what the general issue is, and things that we can do to help. And I can't emphasize enough to you, we've been doing this for obviously quite a few years. Some of our best efforts come about as a result of information from citizens.
Yeah, it's so important. Now, if people are thinking, well, why is the sheriff's office involved and not Chicago PD? How does that happen?
That's something that's interesting. So I've been doing this job for quite a while now, and that question has been there forever, since the first day I started till now. And I completely get it. The idea of sheriffs in our jurisdiction versus Chicago's or versus any other town in the county, it's hard for people to get their arms around. The bottom line is that the sheriff's office can and does operate in any town or village or city in the county. We do it more often than not in unison with the other department from that town. Sometimes we don't. But the gist of it is we have jurisdiction everywhere in the county. We can go and help anywhere. And so if a police department has got loads of other issues, if a police department their officers are known by local drug dealers so that they can't do undercover work, for a range of different reasons, we can supplement and help. And so with the different operations we have within the city of Chicago, we have the office, as I mentioned, on Roosevelt, but we also have an office on Chicago and State Street. We have one on Clark Street, and we even have a small office inside the Water Tower place as well. Those are all meant to supplement things that the Chicago Police Department's doing. Some of it is purely independent of Chicago. Some of it is things that we're doing together as a team. But at all times, we both of us know what the other one's doing.
Yeah. Some people will wonder, with and again, it goes back into you can't be everywhere. We do understand that. But that is such a busy area where this drug bust took place. Like, how is an open air drug market taking place over there? I mean, I know so many business owners over there, whether it's, a clothing boutique, a coffee shop. I even had a doctor that was right over there that actually moved because of that activity that was in the area. How does an open air market exist in an area with so much foot traffic?
You know, I think part of it is the nature of the location. Because of its proximity to the red line there's just lots of movement. So even when there's operations done, people will then come back because it's a lively area for what they're doing. And that's why it's incumbent upon us, Chicago Police Department, to not do just one-offs. And we're not planning. Obviously, we opened up an office right there. But the key is making sure that you just don't, frankly, check the box off. You know, you listen to some citizens, they had a problem, we went and arrested some people and we moved on. It's like, no. If we don't stay on top of that, then this will go on forever. There'll be pauses and that'll be it. So we got to stay there. But I know I've talked with my staff specifically because we look at camera footage and all sorts of other things in the area, to be honest with you. And we were looking at more along the lines of what are the other things that we could do to make it less conducive. Because at one point someone was pointing out to me literally that here's two people right now on camera, look like that's what they're up to. And I was told this is where they always sit on this wall here. And I said, well, okay, we'll work on the undercover buy, but how about if we work on the wall too? Let's make it so that that wall's not there, so that this person doesn't have a place where they can just sit and chill out. Let's make it also as uncomfortable as possible for that activity to go on. So my point is A, all of us, we can't leave. We got to do a sustained effort. But B, we got to think outside the box on a range of different things. Cameras, physical benches and things like that, all different things that make it easier for people.
Yeah, because ultimately, you know, going back and see even like the doctor that left that area, it does affect, you know, if you've bought a place in the area, you live there, maybe you can't immediately move. But for those who do business in the area, I know there are a multitude of things that weigh on business owners, but the crime in the area is one of them for sure.
Oh, you know, it is literally nuts not to understand that is such an important factor. I mean, think about just the common sense part of it. If you're the business owner, you yourself are going in on that business every day. Clearly, not only is it something you don't want to watch, but you know, you don't want to be approached by it. And are guns frequently mixed in with drugs? Of course they are. But then think about them when they're thinking about their customer base, whoever whatever their job business might be. Is this an environment that they're going to be attracting more customers? Customers are going to want to come back. Customers are going to want to tell friends, hey, you got to go to this store. No, the first thing that's going to come out of their mouth is, oh, wow, I went to that store. Really nice people in there, but boy, walking in there, my God, that was scary. Or I walked up there and there's two different people tried to sell me dope on the way in. Anybody in government who's telling you that that's not real is just lying to your face. Just lying to your face. And that's what we have to do. We have to make sure that these environments don't have that. And then, you know, it's funny. Most of the time when I'm dealing with citizens in regards to, they're so reasonable. They are. You occasionally get someone who's unreasonable. Once in a while, you know, it just doesn't happen that often. These are folks looking for basic things to make the area how it should be. They're not like saying, oh, Tom, can you sprinkle gold dust on the entryway of my place? No, they're just saying, hey, can you make sure there's no crime out in front of my place? I would suggest that's sort of what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. So as I'm looking at this list of people that were arrested, the ages are pretty wide ranging. I know one of the other issues, and you mentioned, you know, guns and drugs kind of go hand in hand. One of the other issues for that area has been when we see the teen takeovers, when it's, you know, summertime mainly that we see in that area. So yeah, hopefully you all are there for a while, because that's been another complaint for that specific area.
Yeah, and that's one of the things where physically having officers down there, yes, we're not going anywhere. We're going to stay down there. Having the office, it's sort of strange, but you know, having a physical location like that, it just naturally has a deterrent effect too. And so it was very important when we decided to do this to get that. We got the space donated, as we did the other spaces in downtown Chicago. So once again, how about that? There's the business community stepping right up, saying, here, Sheriff, here's a building for free. So we're not going anywhere. Having the physical structure there is going to be incredibly helpful as well for a range of different reasons. But you have to have this sustained effort. Otherwise, none of this is going to work.
Yeah, and you mentioned that the red line goes right through there. Obviously, we just had a major story that took place on the blue line just a couple of weeks ago. And the conversation about ankle monitoring came up in that particular incident of the woman who was set on fire on the blue line. Can you explain? Your office was handling it, and then it went to the Chief Justice. Explain where that is and what happened there.
So for the longest time, the Sheriff's Office ran a home monitoring program. At the same time, the Chief Judge ran a home monitoring program. When I was running it, I still am running, but just a handful of people left on my program. But when I was running the program, the Chief Judge did as well. We were running it because it was part of an old consent decree from the 1960s and 70s. I was the only sheriff in the country running a home monitoring program. Nobody else did. It was all run by the judiciary all around the country. Ours was unique because of a consent decree. We were happy, but we were running it. It was something that we had run for many, many years very effectively. The legislature changed the laws like 3 years ago within the Safety Act. There was things in the Safety Act that were good. There was things in it that weren't good. And one of the things that was not good was it allowed anybody on home monitoring to have 2 days a week where I had to shut the monitor off. And that's just literally what it was. They had what was called free movement, supposedly to go food shopping and other things. None of that was done in consultation with us. And we said, no, my program won't work because we hold people accountable. If you're not where you're supposed to be, we go out and get you. If you don't show up in time for your work, we go out and get you. The Chief Judge's program is more of a curfew program where they are supposed to be at places at night, but not during the day. And there's nuances to it. But ours was a much more hardened program where you had to be certain places at certain times. Once the legislature, in their infinite wisdom, decided to say 2 days a week, Sheriff, you got to shut it off, I went to them for 2 years to say, listen, can you fix this? I can't run a program safely when I can't see people for 2 days a week. Given the fact that over 100 of the people on my program at the time were charged with murder or attempt murder, it's like, this cannot be done. This is reckless. And I asked them over and over again. They wouldn't do it. And then they changed some of the AWOL rules, so if people were taking off, I wasn't able to bring people in front of the judges immediately. They made all these changes to where I couldn't run the program properly anymore. And I said, listen, if we don't change this back to the way it used to be, I can't keep running a program where I'm basically lying to the public saying, everything's great here, we're watching these people, when I know full well 2 days a week, I'm not watching them. So eventually it got to the point where it's like, listen, you're not changing it. I'm not required by law to run the program. I'm not going to continue to run a program that I know I can't run effectively. And so then the Chief Judge's office ended up picking up they have all the home monitoring now goes to them. But they'd been running a program beforehand. It's just they've always run a different program than ours. Ours was much stricter rules and all the rest of it.
Respectfully, it doesn't seem like anyone is running the program effectively because we keep having these situations that come up, very serious situations, and then find out that a person was on a home ankle monitor. Well,
that was one of the points I made too at the very beginning too, is when this person comes in front of the judge, they have a range of things that they can do with this person. So there's people that just should not be on home monitoring. And I made that point really clear. When we had the program all those years, it was for nonviolent offenders. And once again, without any consultation with us, they changed that and started putting violent people on there and said, that's not what this program's for. And they kept doing it. And then all of a sudden they said, okay, in 2 days a week you can't watch people either. It's like, we can't keep lying to the public and tell them, oh, everything's going well here, when we know that's not going on here. So, this should not have been like this, but that's what they chose.
And so now it lies with the Chief Justice. We have a new Chief Justice. So I want to ask you a couple of things. One, what went through your mind when that situation happened on the blue line and we found out, the person was on an ankle monitor after the program had switched from your office to his. And then I'd also like to ask you about this new committee that's being formed by the new Chief Justice to look over this particular program.
Well, we told everyone on day one when we said that we cannot effectively run this program anymore. We told them, we gave, I think, like a year and a half run up. It wasn't something where we said on Monday, we're not running the program and it stops Tuesday. No. We had like a year and a half where we said, listen, we'll work with people, we'll work for a transition. We're not leaving. If you need our help, we'll be happy to help you with a range of different things. So we've said that all along. As far as the new chief judge, he and I have spoken. I'm real excited to work with him, and I told him it's literally a blank check. I'll help you in any way you need me to help, any way you want me to help. We are quite knowledgeable in this area. Happy to give you some ideas and suggestions. As I say, I can't force people to do different things, but I can strongly advocate that, like, this is a group of people that probably shouldn't be on home monitoring. This group here, if you're going to put them on home monitoring, you have to have it where you're watching them all the time, not just at nighttime, but all the time. And there's got to be real consequences like we used to have if they violate it. So I'll be happy to sit and talk on different things that we learned over the years. Most of it's common sense, to be frank with you.
Well, hopefully you all figure it out, for the safety of everyone, because obviously it's just a lot when we hear the person was being monitored after we hear about the crime that was committed while they were supposed to be monitored. Thank you so much.
I know very little about that monitoring of that individual because it wasn't one of our cases.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, other than what I read in the newspapers, as far as, why when the person didn't show up, someone didn't go get them. I have no idea why.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate your time and, again, your attention to the things that are happening, and especially responding when people are speaking up about things that are happening, because I just think that's such a pivotal point for all communities to understand that when you say that something is happening in your area, that someone will listen and actually do something about it.
You're so right. So right. That's how you build that connection that we always talk about between law enforcement and the community. That's how you do it.
Mm-hmm. Sheriff Dart, thank you so much. Have a
so
good
much.
rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
Take care. It's 3:10, everybody. Let's take a quick break. Look at that, everybody. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so we have snow coming down right now here in Chicagoland. 32 degrees. It feels like 23. And all of that might feel warm by this time tomorrow. Cold temperatures with negative wind chills are expected tonight into Friday morning. It is a situation that no one should be caught out in for extended periods of time. And so we want to bring in Matt Dowdy with he's the manager of Emergency Management Services for OEMC to talk a little bit about what they are doing to make sure that everyone has a warm place to be for a time span. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure to be here.
So obviously this is nothing new for Chicago to go through these super cold spells and the snow outside. But tell us a little bit about what you all are doing over the next few days to help people.
Sure. It starts with operational coordination here at OEMC. So twice a day, we host coordination calls with a lot of our partners, including Department of Family and Support Services, Chicago Park District, Chicago Public Library, and dozens of others. And we do this to share information and align strategies. We're also keeping in close contact with the National Weather Service and keeping abreast on all advisories, watches, and warnings that may be issued. So we know that we've got some cold temperatures coming our way. One thing that we always like to promote is that our app, the OEMC app, has lots of helpful information and weather tips. It's also a spot where residents can go and sign up for Notify Chicago to receive various weather alerts as well as alerts on other types of emergencies and special events.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the warming centers. How long they're open, when they open up, when they close.
It varies on who is running the centers, but there's 284 centers across our entire network. For the most part, they're open during daytime hours, with the exception of Chicago Police Department stations that are open 24/7. You can find out more information on our warming centers on our app or on our website. So they include everything from Department of Family and Support Services community centers to Chicago Public Libraries.
Mm-hmm. And I mentioned this is nothing new, but what are the reminders that you would like people to have top of mind right now as we get ready to go into some really dangerously cold temperatures outside?
Sure. First and foremost, try to limit your time outside as much as possible. If you do have to go outside, make sure you're dressed in layers and make sure your clothing stays dry. Moisture is definitely not our friend when it comes to extreme temperatures. If possible, I know we've got some freezing drizzle coming in this afternoon. Try to limit your time out on the roads, but if you do have to be out on the roads, make sure you exercise caution.
Now, you mentioned several different departments helping out here. One of the things we frequently see is fires because of how people choose to heat their homes.
Sure. We don't generally advise that people use space heaters, but if you do, make sure they're very clear of other types of, just make sure that they're clear of anything else in the room. And obviously never use a stove to heat your apartment or house.
Yeah, and the reminders also go for how we treat our pets as well, right?
Absolutely. Make sure you keep a good eye on your pets. Please limit their time outside. And also, I'd just like to take this opportunity that when it comes to some of our more vulnerable populations, we always encourage people to call 311 if they have a need for a shelter request, or if they'd like to have a well-being check on a friend or loved one.
Yeah, that's so critical that we think about, those our senior, or I like to say, our wiser citizens as well, that we're all kind of looking out for each other. We saw a horrible situation out on the roads first thing this morning. So I'd also like you just to address travel hazards and things that people should be thinking about over the next couple of days when it comes to these colder temperatures and traveling.
Sure. Pretty simple. The roads still remain fairly slick out there. So like I said, if if you can avoid or minimize travel, please do so. If you have to travel home today, like I will be doing in about an hour or so, please exercise caution, stay slow, maintain your awareness of all the other cars around you.
Yeah, you said that like I might be holding you up, but I'm playing with you. Thank you so much for taking time out to give us all a little bit of a reminder as we go into these temperatures. And thank you for what you all do on a regular basis to make sure that we're all in tip-top shape when it comes to our safety.
Thank you very much. Everybody stay safe.
All right, take care. 3:19, everyone. We're going to be right back with another good conversation. Welcome back, everyone. It's 3:21 right now. We have plenty to go still in these last 30 minutes or so that we have with you. You know, it seems like a good problem to have, essentially, when you know that there are so many people that are passing through O'Hare. That is something to celebrate, right? You want growth. You want more passengers coming through, more travelers that are choosing O'Hare. But it's actually causing a ripple in a major renovation plan. I want to bring in Joseph Schwieterman, the president of the Transportation Research Forum here in Chicago, to talk a little bit more about what's going on with Terminal 2. Thank you so much for your time.
Good to be here.
Okay, lay out as best as possible for those of us who don't follow this on a regular basis, what is going on here?
Well, O'Hare's having just a boom year. It's exciting. We looked at all the hub airports around the U.S., and O'Hare is up more, by far more than any other airport since January, with flights up 10%. And the nearest closest, Detroit, they're just up a couple of percent. And that's on top of pretty good growth we had in 2024. So O'Hare is booming, American and United in particular. So the plans that were hatched to modernize and expand the terminals are going to create some problems. We may run out of gates, and in 2028, things could get really tricky.
Mm-hmm. So everyone was excited about this new renovation project, and now they're having to kind of rethink things.
They are. I mean, the plan that's currently underway is to build a new satellite concourse off of Terminal 1. It's a beautiful building. It's going to have 19 gates. It's going to open in late 2028. And that's going to be the first new terminal in a long time. The problem is we're going to, tear down Terminal 2 to make this great O'Hare global terminal. And that's going to get, there's 43 gates there. So in that transition of building a new global terminal, we could end up with fewer gates than we have now as construction is underway. And that's tricky stuff at an airport where we're splitting from the seams already.
Yeah. And then I think about two things that maybe you can touch on. One would be the timeline, and two would be the financial portion of this.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the airlines are understandably a little bit nervous that the first idea was to build two satellite terminals. So when we built the global terminal, we had plenty of gates. But they're worried if there's a traffic downturn and things go south, we could end up with more gates than they need or really high fees to use O'Hare because so much has been done, with new runways and so forth. They're arguing there's a limit to what they can pay. But those discussions happened before this boom occurred. So now American wants more gates. United has big plans. They're adding new service next summer, and you can just imagine how crowded things could be by 2028 when they start work on that big new terminal. And we maybe lose some Terminal 2 gates.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, as if travel doesn't get tricky enough. So as I understand it, you were going to be publishing a report on this today.
We released a report today, and it's getting a good reaction. I think, we're saying what I think a lot of airport planners already know, that everybody's got to come back to the table and figure this out. There's a lot of strategies. We have a really good Department of Aviation, and they've done, great work thus far. We added gates to Terminal 5, the international terminal. There's a new concourse called Terminal L. So we actually have an airport that has more gates than any other airport in the world. So it's certainly surprising that we have a gate shortage, but it's a real thing.
Yeah, and then as I'm seeing here, there's also that aspect of you're kind of beholden to things continuing economically to go in the right direction for all of this, or we're in a real pickle.
We are, and it's we got to remember we are a great transportation city, and O'Hare this year will likely regain the title of having the most flights of any other airport in the world. Atlanta's still ahead of us in the number of passengers, but we're making a pretty nice comeback, which is great to see. So this is, in a way, a good problem to have, that we need terminal space. And if you've been to Terminal 2, everybody knows that's not up to modern standards. You got the low ceilings, the narrow corridors, and we need something to really do our city proud. So getting that global terminal done is exciting for our city, but the transition of getting there is a little bit tricky.
Yeah, it's kind of like the construction anywhere else, especially on the roadways when we talk about, winter or construction season. We hate to see it coming, but hopefully we benefit in the end.
That's right. And boy, Thanksgiving was booming out there with some pretty tough times with that bad weather. So O'Hare's in the news right now.
For many reasons. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, you take care. Everybody, it's 3:26 right now. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everyone. It's 3:30, and we want to take a look at how things are going on Wall Street. This is day two where we're seeing a lot of green on the screen here as we get ready to close things out for the day here. You see Dow Jones is up over 400 points as of right now. Things just closed there. I stopped because I wanted to make sure things have just closed. So this is where we're closing for the day. With green, in the green here, the Dow Jones up over 400 points. The S&P 500 trading up 0.3%. The NASDAQ Composite adding 0.17% here. So payrolls processor ADP reported some surprising declines, though. This was maybe one downside to what we saw today here. But we're seeing, for the most part, markets are pricing in an 89% chance of a cut next Wednesday. So we are watching over the next week what's going to happen, but it's much higher than the odds from mid-November when we were seeing all of that volatility out there. Investors now anticipating that a lower rate environment will spur some loan growth and give a jolt to the U.S. economy here, leading shares of key financial stocks higher. So that's why we're seeing that green on the screen, and we certainly will be watching it very closely over the next several days going into that announcement next week that these investors are hoping will be that we get another rate cut. The Fed chair, I have to keep saying this, the Fed chair was very shaky on whether we were going to get that rate cut or not, but there is a reason why there is some optimism here. So we'll see what happens. It's 3:32 right now, though. We're going to take another quick break, and we'll be right back. live right now as we give you a live look outside. Oh, it's so cold, but people are dedicated to getting their pictures in out at the Bean and also having some fun there on the ice skating strip. We have Chief Meteorologist Emily Walls here, who is going to give us a bit of a preview of...
Do you want to hear it?
Well, I didn't say whether I wanted to. I said you were going to give it to us one way or another.
Yes. So,
What's to come?
It's been cold all week.
Yeah.
We know that. It's going to get a lot worse tonight. So we can go ahead and say we're going to be in that dangerously cold range because we have actual air temperatures following the cold front that's moving through today that are going to be dropping down to near zero tonight. So our usual cold spots, think locations like DeKalb, Aurora, usually those locations are very easily 5 to 7 degrees colder than what we're seeing at O'Hare or closer to downtown and in many other locations. It has a couple of reasons, one being that it has a lower elevation, but two, it's more rural, so it gets colder at night. So low temperatures in those usual cold spots, Anita, they're gonna be going down easily 5 degrees below zero. So it's going to be cold, and then there's also a breeze on top of it. So we're going to have wind chill temperatures tonight, as cold as about 15 degrees below zero. Now, if we get closer to minus 20, that's when you would see something that's put out by the National Weather Service that's called a cold weather advisory. That has taken place of what was formerly known as the wind chill advisory. So if you see a cold weather advisory that's issued tomorrow morning for a few locations or possibly again on Friday morning, that's what that means. It's essentially taking place of that wind chill advisory. But bottom line, dangerously cold conditions expected tonight, again on Thursday night, when temperatures again are going to be right around zero. But notice Friday during the day, we finally start to climb out of the really cold stuff. It's still going to be cold this weekend. We're still looking at well below average conditions because, by the way, average is right around 40, 41 degrees. So we're staying way below that this weekend. But, after waking up near zero, sub-zero wind chills, that 25 on Friday afternoon, it's not going to be feeling too bad to us. And then going into this weekend, we're going to be in the upper 20s. We do have a chance of snow showers Saturday night into Sunday. At this point, it doesn't look like it's going to be anything that we have to worry about as far as accumulation is concerned. I think it's just your scattered snow showers, here or there periodically throughout the day. And then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, there's going to be several systems that are kind of parading through the region. None of them look that intense. So I think next week, it's still going to be a very wintry scene for us, but it doesn't really look like we're going to be seeing much in the way of accumulation. And then Wednesday of next week, I know it's a week away, but that is our next chance of seeing temperatures above the freezing mark. So, I've been saying this for a few days now. Out there right now, we still have temperatures for many of us that are sitting right around 30. Those are going to be dropping very quickly this evening. But if you still have ice or snow removal that you need to take care of, if you're noticing a few icy patches on your sidewalks, even your porch steps, things like that, really try to lay out that salt right now, because as soon as those temperatures drop down close to zero tonight, highs in the teens tomorrow, salt really isn't that effective in that range. So we're going to have to go another few days until you're able to even take care of that if you don't get it taken care of tonight.
Yeah, which is why the city uses like a solution.
Yes. So we've already, I was out and about walking today and I still noticed that several locations that either were not shoveled, the slush has all turned into ice already. So again, that's going to be really difficult to remove if you don't take care of that before this deep freeze, takes hold tonight.
Yeah. And be careful even if you're doing it today. There's always so many different issues tied to people, trying to clear snow or trying to clear ice. So be careful even if you're doing it today. What was the reason behind the National Weather Service changing the terminology?
So, this was a conversation that started a few years ago, and last year was the very first year for that cold weather advisory. The reasoning is just to make the messaging a little more clear to the public, because we had extreme cold warnings, we had wind chill advisories, and this kind of just puts it all underneath one umbrella that's like, hey, it's cold, it's dangerous for you to be outside. If you're outside and exposed, for an extended period of time, you're at risk of frostbite. So it kind of simplifies the message. And, conversations like that are going on within the National Weather Service all the time because we do have a lot of headlines that we have to keep up on, and the job is to relay a message to the public, and whatever makes that easier for people to understand, that's when we're doing our jobs the best. So it was just kind of one of those things to simplify the messaging.
Well, I hope that people are heeding the message.
Yes.
And staying indoors as much as possible, everybody, and checking on your neighbors too as we go into these cold days for a whole week.
For a whole week. But then I will say the overall weather pattern looking toward through the month of December, I should say, we're already in December, the first half does look cooler than average. There are signs that the second half of the month
70s.
No, we're not getting that warm.
Wishful thinking.
But there's signs that we could be warmer than average, but we still have to really keep in mind what is average for mid to late December, and it's still in the 30s. It's in the low to mid 30s, but there are signs that we could be warmer than average, meaning maybe upper 30s. But something to look forward to. I don't think the whole month is going to be colder than average.
Little glass half full at the end of the day, We appreciate it. Appreciate you. All right, it's 3:41, everyone. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. It's about 3:45 right now, and there is a hiring fair that we want to tell you about. We've talked so much about the economy and what's going on. We want to make sure that people know about jobs and when hiring is happening. So we have the HR leader for Mariano's joining me now. Nikki, pronounce your last name for me.
Fickow.
Fickow. Okay, we were wondering over here, and that was the going pronunciation. Okay. So tell me about what's happening.
Yeah, so we're having a hiring event tomorrow between 2 and 7 at all 4 of our Mariano's locations across really the city of Chicago and our outlying stores in the suburbs as well. We're really excited to be able to fill some of our roles ahead of the busy holiday season.
So it's a company-wide hiring event. How often does that happen?
We hold these about once every 6 weeks or so, and especially now as we head towards the holidays, we have ramped them up a little bit just to make sure, again, that we've got talent filling all of our open roles so that we can better serve our customers.
What types of open roles do you have?
We have anything as far as, we've got any of our cashiers, if people are interested in serving our customers on our front ends to check people out, but we've got night crew roles as well. So if people want to stock groceries overnight, we've got roles in our perishable departments as well. So if you want to work in our deli department, our meat department, our produce departments, we've got a wide variety of roles that can really meet people where they are and where they're interested in working for us.
Where do you think people go wrong if they're coming to events like this? Like, let's help people out. If they're getting ready to come, what do they need to do?
Sure. So just come prepared and really interested in learning more about the grocery business. We really want people that are passionate about customer service. We can teach everybody else the rest, and really want to make sure that people are kind of open to the opportunities that we have available for them. So while they might think one way about the grocery industry, really keep an open mind about what we might have available for them.
Yeah. What are some things that are unique to the grocery industry that most of us wouldn't know?
So we are incredibly flexible in regards to our scheduling. We have tons of career growth opportunities as well. We have a number of associates, not only in our Mariano stores, but really any of the Kroger divisions across the country, where we have stories of associates starting out as part-time clerks in high school or in college and working their way up into store or division management. So it's really exciting to be able to watch those associates grow in their careers and really be able to support their families with a career within the grocery industry.
Yeah. I watched a story just the other day about a grocery worker and the connection that she made, and she was in the checkout line. She worked the checkout line, and the connection that she made with the customers that came through, and how it ended up saving someone's life. I mean, it was a tremendous story. But what are some of maybe the misnomers or the things that people really don't get about the people who work there?
Sure. We've got so many people that care so much about their communities because we are looking to hire people within those neighborhoods that we operate. So these are going to be the people that, as people are making their maybe weekly or even sometimes daily grocery runs, that they're going to be becoming part of these folks' lives. So it's really making sure that we're having folks that want to make that connection. So to your point about, stories that save people's lives, we have stories like that across so many of our stores because, again, we really want to make that connection within our community and have that relationship with our customers.
Yeah, it matters. It really does. That customer service angle of it, wherever you go. But the grocery store is one of those places. I mean, I'm sure, you see the same people come through on a regular basis.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if people are coming out, do they bring their resume? What do they need to bring with them?
Yeah, absolutely. So bring their resume, any information that would really prove to us why you are looking to come for a career and come for a job and stay for a career. We really want to make sure that we're having folks that, again, like I said, passionate about customer service, and we can teach you the rest. So come with an open mind, but also ready to interview on the spot with any of our hiring managers at any of our 40 locations. From there, we would have folks apply on the spot and potentially be offered a job on the spot as well. So that's how quickly we're able to move through the hiring process in our stores, which is incredible.
Wow, it really is. Now I'm seeing here, I know that people will come from all walks of life, all ages, but one thing that really jumped out at me is this Feed Your Future tuition reimbursement. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, so for any of our students that are interested in continuing their education, anything that they apply for in a college role that pertains to the grocery business, and it's things such as, business or accounting, things that you'd even kind of think of outside of your traditional four walls of a retail store, that can be applied up to $3,500 per semester, up to a $21,000 lifetime benefit for our associates that go to school to continue their education. So that is something that the company offers as an incredible benefit to really help our folks further not only their knowledge, but their career within our company as well.
Yeah. And so when you talk about careers, I want to ask you a couple of things there. One, do you have seasonal jobs available, or are you just looking for people who will be around for a while?
We want people that are going to be around for a while. We want, folks that are really interested in making this part of, their long-term careers. Now, we have a ton of students that work for us, and that's fantastic. And we offer them different flexibility, whether it be, for their school schedule or their extracurricular schedule. But really, folks that come for a job and want to stay for a career. So maybe they might discover something working for us that maybe they didn't realize interested them and want to grow their career. So we'll take, both folks that are looking for kind of a short-term, part-time job to, help make ends meet throughout the holidays, but also folks that are really interested in growing their careers with us and making this a long-term solution for their lives.
And you're a spokesperson, but you've lived this. Tell me a little bit about your path.
Yeah, so actually I started with the company 25 years ago. I started as one of the 16-year-old cashiers on our front ends, wanting to make sure that, I had a job to pay for gas and maybe movies on Friday night with my friends. But it's something that continued to show me opportunities of what was available within our industry. So we were working in our stores throughout high school and then college, and then I moved into our HR department at our store support center about 10 years ago. So 25 years all in, but tremendous growth available within our company, and I'm so proud to be a representative of that.
Well, it makes you a wonderful representative because you're speaking from the heart and the knowledge that you know. So thank you so much for taking some time to help other people who want to follow in your path.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, you take care. 3:52,
Bye-bye.
everyone. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. It's about 3:55, and there has been such conversation this week about the relationship between, and it is a tense relationship right now between the U.S. and Venezuela. A lot of controversy over strikes that were taking place, whether there were a lot of allegations of whether or not there were war crimes that were committed on the U.S.'s part. But now U.S. operated flights are returning deported migrants to Venezuela amid all of this tension, amid all of what's going on right now. President Trump had asserted earlier this week that the airspace of the South American country should be considered closed. But now we are seeing this is one of the flights that has just landed here in Venezuela. The Venezuelan president, Nicolas Maduro, yesterday announced that the twice weekly flights will go on following a request from the Trump administration here, reversing their announcement on Saturday, indicating that the U.S. immigration authorities had suspended the flight. So there is a lot going on in that developing situation. But right now, again, you are seeing people getting off of this flight here. These are presumably deported migrants from the U.S. getting off a flight here in Venezuela, repatriated there to Venezuela there. Our camera's kind of moving around, but that's what's going on there. It is 3:56, and we so appreciate you being here with us each and every day. We have been on several stories today, several developing stories right since 1 o'clock. If you've been with us the entire time, we did start out with breaking news from Washington, D.C. At that point in time, we had just heard about a shooting that had taken place at the MGM National Harbor in Washington, D.C. It's kind of right DMV, so it's actually on the Maryland side of that area there where we heard about that. And we got some new information on that just a short time ago, just saying initially they thought it was 2 people that had been shot in that area. It looks like now 1 person is dead, but they are searching for someone right now in that area after police confirmed that this was a targeted shooting. They actually saw someone on camera that was going through to a food court with some type of dispute against this person and shot them in that food court. Again, that's such a busy place, the MGM National Harbor there, where so many people go. So that's just a bit of new information on that very first story that we followed this afternoon. We hope that you'll be with us again tomorrow. We always try to, obviously we've got to give you the tough things that happen in our area, but some great things as well, like that Mariano's hiring fair, being able to see people who are giving jobs still in this time that is a little tough for a lot of people, especially going into the holiday season. It's good to see someone hiring right now, and also even talking with Sheriff Dart about what happens when you actually speak up about things that are happening that you see out there. If you see something, say something so that something can be done, so that we can all live in safer communities. Thank you again for being here today, and we'll see you again 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon.